The Decline and Fall of the American Civilization, Episode 1, Corporate Power and Greed, by the Grumpy Veteran Project. Chapter 2, The Broken Promise. Once America stood as a promise, a shining city on a hill, built on the ideals of liberty, justice, and opportunity. We were told that our way was the right way, the only way. But promises have a way of fading, and ideals can be bought, sold, and betrayed. Today that promise feels like a memory, fractured under the weight of greed, fear, and division. The systems we trusted, healthcare, education, democracy itself, are crumbling, not from outside forces but from the rot within. We've turned our values into commodities, our leaders into celebrities, and if people die on the path to another $1 million, well, that's just collateral damage. Every crisis is a profit opportunity, every solution another chance to deepen the divide. As the threads of civilization unravel, we're left asking, was the promise ever real, or just a story we told ourselves to sleep at night? This is the story of the decline and fall of the American civilization, a tale of what was lost, who betrayed us, and whether there's still time to fight for what remains. Chapter 3, Corporate Bailouts and Inequality. Let's talk about fairness in America. What does it mean to be fair in a country that prides itself on equality and justice for all? In 2008, our government bailed out the financial industry using the excuse too big to fail. This phrase became a justification for saving the wealthy at the expense of the average citizen. They handed billions to banks and corporations not to help us, but to reward the executives who caused the collapse in the first place. These were the same people whose reckless decisions led to the financial meltdown. Billions in bailouts turned into bonuses. Instead of using the money to stabilize the economy, they lined their own pockets. People were losing their homes and life savings, while corporate leaders got rewarded. The disparity between the suffering of ordinary people and the prosperity of the elite became glaringly obvious. And today, those same corporations have more power than ever, while veterans, seniors, and everyday Americans are footing the bill. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. Even Milton Friedman, the champion of free markets, would have scoffed at the idea of bailing out failing corporations. He argued that businesses should succeed or fail on their own merit, not because of government handouts. Bailing out corporations doesn't just waste taxpayer money, it teaches CEOs that they can gamble with our economy and face no consequences. Friedman called this moral hazard, and it's a recipe for disaster. Friedman believed in the power of markets to create fairness through competition. But corporate bailouts tip the scales, rewarding incompetence and punishing those who play by the rules. Chapter 4, The Hypocrisy of Corporate Welfare. Republicans claim they hate handouts. But corporate welfare, that's fine, as long as it's for billionaires. They preach fiscal responsibility but practice favoritism towards the wealthy. They block essential support for regular citizens but have no problem giving money to corporate interests. This hypocrisy is a betrayal of the public trust. So when the next financial collapse hits, maybe billionaires like Elon Musk should step in to help out. After all, they have the resources to make a difference. In 1893, a severe economic depression triggered by overspeculation and the collapse of railroads caused a run on gold reserves. The U.S. Treasury's gold reserves fell dangerously low, raising fears that the U.S. would abandon the gold standard. J.P. Morgan and other financiers orchestrated a deal to lend gold to the U.S. Treasury, restoring confidence in the government's ability to back its currency with gold. Morgan partnered with August Belmont, a representative of the Rothschild banking family, to arrange the purchase of $65 million in gold. This move helped stabilize the U.S. economy and prevented the depletion of gold reserves. Do you think Trump or Musk would have come forward to help the nation like J.P. Morgan did? The ultra-wealthy often find ways to evade their fair share of taxes. By bailing out corporations, the government encourages reckless behavior, as companies may assume that they will be rescued regardless of their decisions. This creates a moral hazard where businesses take excessive risks without fearing the consequences. Corporate bailouts often involve the government picking winners and losers, which Friedman would see as an unacceptable intrusion into the free market. He argued that the government should not interfere in the economy beyond creating a stable monetary environment and enforcing contracts. Chapter 5, The Burden on Veterans. As a disabled veteran, I know this injustice firsthand. I served my country with honor only to be neglected by the system I fought to protect. After 15 years of service, I had to discharge my student loans because I can't work. The burden of debt is a heavy load for many veterans. But instead of relief, I got hit with a $33,000 tax bill that I'm still paying off. This is the reality for many who have served our nation. I served my country and now I'm struggling under a tax burden just for trying to survive. The system is rigged against those who have given the most. Elon Musk and tax avoidance. Meanwhile, Musk, who came here from South Africa, bought his way into American society and now controls government by making the defense industry dependent upon his technology such as Starlink, pays little to nothing in taxes. His wealth shields him from the responsibilities that ordinary citizens face. How is this fair? The scales of justice are tipped in favor of the rich and powerful. Chapter 7. Demanding accountability. It's time we hold these monopolies accountable. We must demand transparency and fairness in how our resources are managed. We need fair trade laws to break up these corporate giants, limit billionaire influence, and ensure no one with a government contract exploits our resources without accountability. This is not just about economics, it's about justice and equity. And maybe, just maybe, we should look at the immigration status of billionaires profiting from America while doing nothing for its people. They should contribute to the society that has allowed them to thrive. America needs a system that values and protects its people, not just the ultra-wealthy. We need policies that prioritize the well-being of all citizens. Time to send a message. We're done carrying the burden for billionaires. The power should be in the hands of the people, not the few. It's time to break up corporate power and restore fairness for Americans. Together, we can create a more just and equitable society for everyone. Chapter 8. The Industrial Patriot. Not all industrialists put themselves before the good of the country. Henry J. Kaiser. Henry J. Kaiser played a crucial role in World War II, revolutionizing shipbuilding to support the U.S. war effort. Known as the father of American shipbuilding, he pioneered mass production techniques that enabled his shipyards to build Liberty ships in under 5 days, keeping essential supplies flowing to Allied forces. Kaiser's Liberty and later Victory ships became vital to the war, while he also expanded into concrete and steel production for wartime infrastructure. His commitment to worker welfare led to one of the first health plans, later becoming Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser's innovations and patriotism set lasting standards in industry and healthcare, leaving a legacy well beyond World War II. Kaiser's contributions were not limited to his financial gain. His legacy includes the healthcare system he founded to ensure his workers were well cared for, a testament to his concern for their well-being beyond the workplace. His efforts were critical to the war's success, providing the Allies with essential resources and setting an example of industrial patriotism and innovation. In an era where corporate power often puts profit over people, Kaiser's model of balancing industrial success with worker welfare stands out. His story reminds us that true leadership in business involves not just innovation and efficiency, but also a deep commitment to the well-being of those who make success possible. As we confront today's challenges, we can draw inspiration from Kaiser's legacy, advocating for a system where industrial prowess and social responsibility go hand in hand. By honoring the principles of fairness and equity that Kaiser championed, we can build a future where corporate power is held accountable and the welfare of the workers is prioritized. Together, let's strive for a world where the lessons of the past guide us toward a more just and equitable society. Chapter 9. A Tale of Two Industrialists. The contrast between Henry J. Kaiser and Elon Musk highlights two very different approaches to business and worker relations. Kaiser, an industrialist who led innovations in shipbuilding during World War II, exemplified a sense of patriotism and responsibility toward his workforce. He revolutionized ship production to support the U.S. war effort, introducing assembly line methods that sped up ship construction and contributed significantly to the Allied cause. Beyond production, he ensured the well-being of his employees, even founding one of the earliest employer-sponsored health plans, which evolved into Kaiser Permanente, to support workers' health and productivity. Kaiser's legacy is one of commitment to both his country and his workforce, blending innovation with genuine care. Elon Musk, in contrast, has faced numerous controversies around his treatment of workers. His companies have been accused of fostering environments that are far less worker-centric. For example, Tesla has faced multiple lawsuits for alleged racial discrimination, with significant cases involving black employees who reported enduring racial slurs and harassment. In one instance, a jury awarded nearly $3.2 million to a former worker for racial abuse at Tesla's Fremont factory. SpaceX, on the other hand, is accused of illegally firing employees who criticized Elon Musk. Musk has also been criticized for anti-union practices, with SpaceX accused of retaliating against employees who voiced concerns about workplace culture and Musk's online behavior. Musk has been vocal about his opposition to unions, often presenting them as contrary to his vision for innovation. Additionally, Musk's companies have demanded grueling hours, with reports of employees working and even sleeping at facilities to meet demanding production targets, a practice at odds with the labor protections and standards that are typical in American industries. Whereas Kaiser invested in employee welfare and contributed directly to his country's security, Musk's approach is frequently characterized by a focus on output over employee well-being. This difference underscores how two influential figures in American industry chose diverging paths, one with a legacy of patriotism and worker support, the other increasingly marked by controversies and allegations of exploitation. While many wealthy industrialists contributed financially and operationally, few actually served on the front lines, as they were typically considered too valuable in supporting production efforts or were past the typical age for military service. However, some did serve in various capacities. Neither Elon Musk nor Donald Trump have served in the military. This is worth noting, especially when considering their public personas and claims of patriotism. Trump, in particular, was sent to a military boarding school as a youth. While the exact reasons for his enrollment remain unclear, it's unlikely his father envisioned a military career for him. From my years of service and encounters with officers from many different military colleges and academies, I've yet to meet anyone who attended a military boarding school like Trump's. Wealthy families often send boys with behavioral issues or disciplinary problems to such institutions, choosing to outsource their care rather than addressing these issues directly. Trump himself claimed in The Art of the Deal that he excelled during his time at military school. Yet, when his draft deferments expired, he suddenly developed bone spurs that rendered him unfit for service. This raises questions about his claims of excellence. In the military, physical fitness and the ability to run are non-negotiable. If Trump couldn't run, then how did he succeed at military school? If you can't meet those standards, a military career isn't an option. Contrast this with stories of true sacrifice. In the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers, a veteran recounts that, in their small town, 3 men deemed unfit for military service during World War II tragically took their own lives. They could not bear to live with the shame of not serving when everyone else in town was. Compare that to Trump, whose privilege shielded him from such shame, and ask, do you think he feels the same burden of unfulfilled duty? Take John McCain, who came from privilege but answered the call to serve. After being shot down in Vietnam, the North Vietnamese offered to release him because of his father's status as an admiral. McCain refused and endured years of torture, showing a level of courage and patriotism that stands in stark contrast to Trump and Musk's actions, or lack thereof. Historically, many wealthy individuals stepped forward in times of crisis. Some contributed financially and operationally, but others actively served on the front lines, putting the needs of their country above their own safety and comfort. James Roosevelt, the son of Franklin D. Roosevelt, came from a wealthy family but chose to serve as a U.S. Marine officer during World War II. His commitment to his country transcended his privileged background, showing that even those born into affluence can answer the call of duty. Ted Roosevelt Jr., the son of President Theodore Roosevelt and a prominent businessman, also answered this call. He served in both World War I and World War II, earning the Medal of Honor for his bravery at Utah Beach during the D-Day invasion. His actions are a testament to the courage and patriotism that can come from any walk of life. John F. Kennedy, who would later become president, served as a Navy officer during World War II, commanding a PT boat in the Pacific. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions. His brother, Robert F. Kennedy, also served in the Navy, demonstrating their family's commitment to public service. Another brother, Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., made the ultimate sacrifice. He died in action during a dangerous mission in World War II, highlighting the profound cost of service. George H.W. Bush, another future president, served as a Navy pilot during World War II, showing that service to the country can come from the highest echelons of society. Bob Dole, who would become a prominent senator, was a disabled veteran of World War II. He later championed the Americans with Disabilities Act, advocating for the rights of disabled individuals. The patriotism and drive of industrialists during crises like economic depressions or wars have shaped the U.S. economy and military capabilities. While their motivations have varied, these figures illustrate the different ways private wealth and power can support, or at times exploit, governmental needs in moments of national crisis. The contributions of these individuals remind us that the relationship between wealth and public service is complex. Patriotism isn't confined to the battlefield. It's about a selfless commitment to the greater good. Beyond military service, there are countless ways Americans have dedicated themselves to the country and its people. Take President Jimmy Carter, who after leaving office, devoted his life to building homes for the less fortunate through Habitat for Humanity. His work embodies the idea that patriotism is not limited to elected office or grand gestures, but can be found in rolling up your sleeves to make a difference in your community. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men of his time, dedicated his fortune to public libraries, universities, and institutions that continue to benefit millions to this day. John D. Rockefeller Jr. used his resources to preserve American history and protect public health, ensuring that his privilege contributed to the nation's betterment. In the realm of cultural preservation, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis fought to save national landmarks like Grand Central Terminal, safeguarding the country's heritage for future generations. Similarly, Oprah Winfrey's investments in education and empowerment initiatives have opened doors for countless individuals, proving that influence and wealth can be tools for meaningful change. These examples and many others remind us that patriotism is about putting the needs of the country and its people first. Whether through philanthropy, cultural preservation, or grassroots activism, these acts of service represent a commitment to the ideals America was built upon. They challenge us to think beyond traditional roles and consider how we too can serve our country in our own unique ways. Not all who are wealthy choose to serve, but those who do can make significant impacts. As we navigate today's challenges, let's remember the lessons of the past. True patriotism isn't measured by wealth or power, but by the willingness to serve and protect the greater good. The wealthy industrialists who fought in world wars offer a glimpse into the potential for positive change when the privileged choose to serve. In our current struggle against corporate power, we need leaders who are willing to put the needs of the many before the desires of the few. The legacy of those who served reminds us that change is possible when we prioritize fairness and equity for all. By learning from history, we can pave the way for a future where wealth and influence are used for the good of society, rather than for personal gain. Together we can create a world where fairness and justice prevail. The Decline and Fall of the American Civilization Episode 1, Corporate Power by the Grumpy Veteran Project.